Karim Turay.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
We've been trying to do this. We've been postponing and rescheduling, but I'm glad that we finally got to do it today.
Likewise, likewise. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So, Abdul Karim, if you could introduce yourself a little bit.
Well, just a bit of background. My name is Abdul Karim Turay. I am a Sierra Leonean, and I've been living in Canada for um, over 15 years, and I've been to school here, starting from high school to university to masters to postgraduate degrees, which obviously we'll talk a bit more on all these things as we get into the interview. But I've worked in various capacities, different organizations. I've volunteered in very many capacities, and yeah. So just in a nutshell, that is who I am.
Thank you, Abdul Karim Turay. Anyways, I think I have to switch from being very formal with you, from calling you Abdul Karim to AKT because that's what I know you for.
Yes, sir.
So, AKT, thanks for that introduction.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, so I was just thinking back, and I know we started knowing each other, or we started talking, in the Sierra Leone community.
Yeah.
It was probably 3 years ago. We were both elected as members of the Sierra Leone Community Association, and we started talking, we started working together, and we developed. Initially, it was professional, and
Yes,
then it became more of a friendship,
that's right.
right? But that's where our journey started. But as you said, your journey started in Canada, you said 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So, how did it all start?
All right. So the starting. I was attending school in Brighton in the UK, and I was doing what they called back then the foundation program, which is a bridging program that you do to get into university. And then my father at the time told me that he had discovered Canada and he wanted me to move to Canada to continue my studies. And so after doing 1 year in Brighton, I moved to Canada to finish grade 12 and then get into university just because the program I was doing in the UK was not accepted by Canadian universities. So I had to do grade 12 again in Canada. So I came to Canada with my father in 2007, I'm guessing August, if I'm right. And we came through Pearson International, which is in Toronto. And then we did the journey to Hamilton, Ontario. And that is where my life started in Canada. I attended Columbia International College, which is a boarding school for a lot of international students. So I did 1 year in that boarding school before finally making the transition into university.
Okay. And university was it Carleton?
So I've been to all three of the major universities in Ottawa. So I started my journey in Ottawa U, University of
Okay.
Ottawa, and then I moved to Carleton, and then I went to Algonquin to do a postgrad.
Oh, okay. But how was it? Because I know coming over at that age, you you were very young. How did was it a struggle? Did you kind of like missed, not having family here without any family support? It must have been really difficult on your part. I was just wondering how was the experience for you at that age?
So to be honest, I had a sort of a buffer, or should I say, a cushion, because when I was in grade 9, I initially was sent to do boarding school in Togo, Lome.
Okay.
Um, Back then, I believe I was too young. I didn't like it. I really struggled with it. I ended up having to go back home to where my family stayed, which was back then was in Banjul, the Gambia. So I went back to the Gambia, uh, completed my high school there before moving to the UK. Now, what was lucky, or the way I would say I was lucky, was that when I went to the UK, the school I attended in the UK, I knew some people there who we attended school together in the Gambia. So I it wasn't that difficult because I found a community just right off the bat. And then from
Okay.
there, it became easy to make friends with a lot of people from different nationalities. And so we all went through that, should I say, struggle together. Um, I wasn't really that much lonely. I had a ton of friends in Brighton. Everything went smoothly when I was there. The only difficulty I had in Brighton was that I was doing sciences back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say because of maybe the accent or the way the subjects were taught, I found it very difficult to learn the material that was being taught in classes. So in the end, I had to switch my major from sciences and I moved into arts. When I did that switch, things became a bit easier for me. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was able to do that, complete my studies, and then move to Canada. When I came to Canada, I even met more of my friends that I went to school with in Gambia
Really?
than I did in the
Really?
UK. So in Hamilton, I think I had maybe I met like uh, 4 or 5 people that we went to the same high school in Gambia.
Okay.
So it was easy again for me to blend in and start those friendships. Those friendships continue. In fact, my roommate in boarding school was my classmate in the Gambia. So I was able to start that. I made more friends in the school. It was easy because I did not have to, should I say, worry about things like bus tickets, my feeding, and stuff like that because it was all covered in my fees in the boarding school. So we stayed on we stayed in one of the hostels. A school bus will pick you up every morning, take you to school, bring you back, and they gave us bus passes, so we were able to go into town and come back without any stress. And they fed us 3 square meals. So I at that point in time I didn't really struggle. Everything was again easy. Had a lot of friends. Um, I found the education system very easy, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
High school was a breeze for me. It was a walk in the park. It wasn't that complex.
Okay.
So sorry.
Yeah, yeah, I'm getting you.
So it wasn't that complex. I really had a really good time in high school. Um,
But
so
would you say the experience was the same when you are in Canada, going to university in Canada? Was the was education the Canadian education easy to adjust to, or did you struggle with it?
yes, so I was coming to that. So high school was easy, but
Uh-huh.
when I finally finished high school and then I got accepted into University of Ottawa, it was a slap in my face. It was very very tough because just imagine you're coming from somewhere where everything was provided for you, everything was catered
Mhm.
for you, and you're just thrown into a situation where everything depends on you. You have to pay your own your rent, manage whatever money you have, cook your own food, buy your bus tickets, and so it was a bit tough. I really struggled in I would say the first 2 years of university in Canada. I really struggled, and not only that, the material in university is way more difficult than high school. I find that the gap between high school and university, at least in my experience in Canada, was very wide compared to the UK. It was very
Okay.
very wide. I remember in order to keep up, I had to buy a voice recorder to record my classes while I'm in class, and then I will go home, listen to the recordings and rewrite my notes just to be able to keep up with what was going on. Because in when you're in high school, they teach you, but in university, the lecturer is just talking. So sometimes you don't know what is relevant and what is irrelevant. And so if you miss something important, it is hard for you to catch that back. And you know as well as I do that the textbooks here are voluminous and there are tons of them. There is no way you're going to read all those textbooks for exams and all of that. So what you get in class is very important.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that was my experience getting into university from high
yeah,
school.
yeah. Well, our situation is a little bit different. You did your undergrad here.
Mhm.
I came in as a master's student, but
Okay.
when I came in, the because I was not sure what I was gonna meet, I decided to just take one class,
Mhm.
one class for the first semester because I wasn't sure. I was like, I didn't know whether I was gonna make it. I didn't know whether I was gonna it was gonna be easy for me. So there was so much uncertainty. So I just decided to go with one class just to test the waters. And even with that one class, the teacher was of Indian origin, and that was the first time I was being taught by somebody who's not Sierra Leonean. So the accent threw me off. It took
Yeah.
me weeks to kind of like get, in sync with his accent. So that was one of my first few, things that struggles, I would say, that I started off with. But in your case, you said, okay, you had your own struggles with, the cause and everything. Like, did you struggle with any other thing else, like the social aspect, adjusting to life in Canada at that point, or?
So so I will say again, I was quite fortunate, because when I came to University of Ottawa, maybe 3 or 4 of my friends from my high school in Hamilton were also in New
In
Ottawa
Ottawa?
with me.
Okay.
So we went through life together.
Mm.
Um, but I will say university was more lonely for me. I really struggled with that, because there are tons of times where I'm just alone. I don't have somebody to talk to, especially when your friends are busy doing something or they're doing their own life and so on.
What
Um,
about the fact? What about the fact that you didn't have any family in Ottawa at that point? Did it?
so to be honest, growing up, I didn't see my dad a lot just because he worked out of town for long periods of time. So I was used to being away from him. And before coming for about maybe I would say maybe 2 or 3 years before, my brother had already left Gambia to go to university. So again, I was used to being away from him. I will say the only what I really missed was my mom. I really missed my mom. Um, some people will call me mama's boy, but no problem.
We're all mama's boy.
So yeah, that I will tell you, I really really miss my mom. It was very very difficult living there without her. I remember many days when I'm trying to cook something, I'll be on the phone with her telling her, "But I have put this and this together, but it's not coming out like yours. What am I doing wrong? Like I just don't get it. Why is my groundnut soup not tasting like your own? You know." So things like that. We will have those conversations, and my father was very worried about me because he sort of had the understanding that I was really lonely, and so a lot of times he would call me and maybe try to set me up with his friends who he knew from through his work. Try to link me up with them so that maybe I can visit them on weekends and so on. A lot of it didn't really work out.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that period I was very lonely. But what began to change that for me was when I started to be involved in the community, which was back then it was a church community. So once I got into church and I started serving in church, I didn't feel that much lonely anymore because I was very busy with school, and on the other hand, I had a lot of church projects and things that I was doing. So I didn't feel that lonely moving from that point moving forward.
Yeah, yeah, I can relate with that because when you were saying, the food does not taste exactly as you tasted back home. The same thing with me because when I came to Windsor, I had to start cooking by
Yes.
myself because I think the first semester I had like this food stamps that slips that you go to the cafeteria and buy, and even at that, the cafeteria had like teriyaki chicken.
Mhm.
They had like mac and cheese. Like
Yeah.
this food is these are not type of food that I ate back home.
No.
Right? So the taste was different, and
Mhm.
it was a struggle. And then I started cooking, but again, getting that taste from back home is very difficult because I didn't know any African store because
Yeah.
back in Windsor I don't know if there was even an African store. We went to this Asian store to get food stuff from, and even at that, getting the right food, it wasn't as fresh. The vegetables were not as fresh as what you get back home, so you never get the taste. And of
Yeah.
course, I had to call back home, for them to tell me what's the recipe, and I try to get it. I never get it right.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but I also noticed that with what you were saying is getting involved in the church. That was one of my first way of you know creating network, right? Because I did meet some friends on campus in the residence that I was staying because I was lucky I was living with two Nigerian friends. But one of them introduced me to their church, which was Redeem, and then I started going to that church and I made a few more connections. But church, being involved in the church helps creating you know, that safety net, place to feel like you belong somewhere. Because as
Yeah.
you said, it gets really, really, really lonely. Right. So you graduated from Ottawa U, right, as undergrad, right? So
Yes. Yes.
undergrad. Did you start looking for work right away, or did you go for a second postgraduate?
So when I so like you mentioned, when you came, you tested the water, took one course, and so for me, I just ran through school. I took full course load every semester, finished
Mm,
undergrad, and then went straight into masters. I didn't even take a break. And so
okay.
once I finished, again, this is where I would always advise people coming to Canada or any country at all. Um, Always find a community to tie yourself to. It can be the mosque, it can be the church, it can be your country's association, but just find somewhere to belong, because, like Odofi said, that is where you're going to meet your network. There are people that are in certain positions, whether in the government or in different jobs, or have information that you will never be able to talk to or access because they don't know you. You can't just walk up to a random person on the street and say, "Hey, help me with one thing or the other, maybe with a job or with a reference," or they will not even do it. But once you join a community, you meet people from all walks of life. So when I joined the church, it helped me immensely. It helped my life immensely, you know. So my pastor at the time in Redeem, he's the one who wrote my reference for me for my master's, along with one of my professors from undergrad, which enabled me to get my foot into Carleton University. So again, I went into Carleton, did my full course load. I was in Carleton for 2 years, and then after Carleton, I then graduated, and it was time to hit the job market. And again, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to because a lot of times you're being asked Canadian experience, or some sort of experience, and it is hard for you to just graduate and have these experiences, and
Mm-hmm.
even knowing how to write your resume, package yourself, because sometimes there are things you do, you have the experience, but in your mind it does not translate into that experience they're looking for, but you actually have the experience. So which is again, which brings me back again to the point where I say it is very important to join a community, because when I was in church, I did event planning, I did coordination, I did project coordination, I did project management, I did accounting, because you do all these things, as in order to help the church, in order to serve in the church, but they're experience that you are getting, but you're just
Sure.
not aware that you are getting this experience.
Yeah.
So to a large degree, it helped me, and I don't want to tell anybody not to dream big, but we are all here to dream big dreams. But when you just leave university, try your best to get into whatever field you're supposed to get into. But in that process of you trying to get into the field you want, be humble enough to take a menial job that will pay the bills. Because if you don't do that, the bills will choke you, and you will be left in a situation where you have so much debt and you just can't manage your life. So sometimes you're going to be forced to do jobs that, on a regular you will never do. When I finished my master's, imagine, with a master's degree, I went to work for Farm Boy. I was in their bakery department. I was there for a couple of months before I finally got my first, I would say my first job, or main job, which was in a call center. So I went to work in that call center. Um, I was there for about 4 years. I transferred between different contracts, and by contracts I mean like different companies that they support. So I transferred between different ones, and through that I was able to do a lot of customer service and a lot of technical assistance, and I got some experience in the banking sector, because I worked with President Choice Financial. So that experience, I used it. While I was there, I was really, really trying to get into my field, but it was just, I don't know whether maybe I didn't try hard enough, or I just did not have the right connections, but I was not able to get into my field, which was public administration, specializing in policy analysis. And my undergrad was in international development and globalization. So I tried my hardest, I couldn't, but a friend of mine who went to church together, I went to go rent a car one day, and I saw him there, and I said, "Hey, how did you get this job? I would like to come work here." Because I admired the fact that he was dressed up in a suit, holding the rental company tablet behind the counter and all of that. I admired the whole thing. So he told me where to apply, and he put in a word for me with the manager, and
Mm-hmm.
then I was able to get my foot into enterprise rent a car. So I started there. That's compounded on my experience again, because with enterprise, I was able to gain office experience and running a business experience. And you got to deal with a ton of different people, different walks of life. You learn how to deal with difficult situations. You learn how to deal with angry people, how to deal with welcoming people. So you learn a lot about yourself, and you learn a lot of patience and tolerance, because I feel, and I may be wrong, everybody is different, but when you grew up with a certain lifestyle, and then you are being forced to do things that in your mind may have been beneath you, when you're spoken to in a certain way by people, you would want to react, you would
Yeah.
want to say your mind.
Yeah.
But working in these various companies taught me self-restraint, and that not every time somebody is angry at you should make you respond, because sometimes it's not you, the person they're angry at, it's the situation. So you have to be patient, you have to be tolerant, you have to learn how to keep a cool head and manage the situation so that it doesn't escalate any further and the person can at least leave being happy. And a lot of times you will find that having a level head will make that person leave your store very happy with positive things to say about you. So these are things I learned while I was at Enterprise. I would say Enterprise was the best training job for me that I ever had. They provided the best training as a person, even at my own personal training. I learned a lot from Enterprise, and I learned a lot from a lot of my managers. In fact, two of my managers were African. The first one was Somali, and the second one was also Somali, and they were the best managers I've ever had. Very welcoming, very approachable, and we were like friends even until today that I've left Enterprise for a long time now. We still keep in touch. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what you said about the power of networking. Don't burn bridges. You
Yeah.
never burn a
Yeah.
bridge. Always keep your contacts and your connection because you never know when you're gonna need them,
Exactly.
right? And also, as you're saying, because we are coming in at the age that we're coming in, because we don't have experiences, the Canadian experiences, we have
Yeah.
to start from somewhere, and sometimes that somewhere is not exactly in the field that you studied for.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, you know, if you look at the experiences that you're going to get, they are key experiences that you can still take into what you want to eventually do.
Yeah.
So the same experiences with me, AKT. I didn't start exactly from what my hope was, of after graduation. I didn't get a job automatically
Yeah.
and started off right away. I had to start somewhere, and also I did the call center, I did the technical support,
Yeah.
and all of those things. And up to today, these key lessons and they're still valuable to me. I still use them,
Yeah.
right? So, AKT, talking about the community, you've talked about the church, and I know the church was a big, big influence in your life and still
Mhm.
continues to be a big influence in your life. You've created connections there that, I know you're going to maintain for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But I want to take you to another community,
Mhm.
you know, our community, the Salone community.
Yeah.
When did you get involved in this Sierra Leonean community, and how or why did you get involved in the Sierra Leone community?
Interestingly enough, I my first contact with the Sierra Leone community was probably in 2009, 2010, thereabouts. So what happened was I was I was at a bus stop waiting for a bus with a friend of mine, and then there was this Sierra Leonean gentleman who my friend knew from another job. So they started talking, and then I said, "Oh, are you a Sierra Leonean?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Wow, I'm a Sierra Leonean too." I'm like, I've been in Ottawa for almost 2 years. I have never met a Sierra Leonean. Are there Sierra Leoneans in Ottawa? And he said, "Of course, there's a Sierra Leonean community in Ottawa." So it was around that Thanksgiving period. So he said, "You know what? On Saturday, just get ready. I'll come pick you up and I'll take you to go meet some Sierra Leoneans." So he came that Saturday, picked me up, and he took me to go meet a group of Sierra Leoneans. And that is where I met Alima and Ahmed for the first time. And so, again, from that time onward, they became my family in Ottawa. They were a very big, they played a very big impact. Let me rephrase that. They had a very big impact on my life because Alima was like my sister. Until today, when I talk about Alima, I call her my sister. I never say my roommate or anything. She, as far as I'm concerned, she's just a sister from another mother. Because um, there were times when I was down, when she would, she would lift me up. There are times when I was struggling financially, when she had helped me. There were times when maybe I didn't have food, that she had given me food. Um, Even up to birthday presents, she would buy clothing, gifts. So her and her husband are like a brother and a sister to me, and that that is where my involvement in the community started. So from there, I started attending Sierra Leone community events with her and Ahmed and the gentleman who introduced me to them. And from there, I started meeting more Sierra Leoneans, getting to know Sierra Leoneans in Ottawa, and it was great because just imagine being in a foreign land and hearing your own language, talking about your country, sharing, having shared experiences. It was amazing for me, and the work that I saw the previous, you know, organization doing, which was led by Mr. Monty Domingo, it inspired me because it made me want to do more for the community. It made me want to be involved in the community because I saw how much work went into doing the community events, and how much sacrifices had to be made to make sure that all of us Sierra Leoneans in Ottawa, can feel the connection to home, can feel like we are supported by other Sierra Leoneans. So which was why when the opportunity presented itself for me to serve in the Sierra Leone community, I jumped at it because I said if others had done it, I would like to be that person who would also help to get Sierra Leoneans who are coming into Ottawa, who may not know anybody, who may not, have any support system, to at least help create an organization that they can reach out to, an organization that has shared experiences with them, and be able to form that community or that family away from their home that they can relate with or talk to, have events that they can relate to. And all these things helps a person's psyche, especially when they're going to school, when they're looking for a job, and when they're going through tough times. At least they know in the back of their mind that there is a community that is just like them. There is a community that has shared experiences. There is a community that can advise them on pitfalls they should avoid and ways they can improve on themselves. And I mean, having and also serving with a great team. I mean, with you as our leader, and ABK and Ahmed Francis, it has been an absolute pleasure for me because even when we hang out, we share ideas, we talk about business ideas, we talk about our jobs, we talk about our families, our hurdles that we are facing, our success. These things, a lot of people may underrate it, but they are very important because they give you ideas. They open your mind to possibilities that you did not know about. I mean, just let's take for example when we were talking about you, when you said, "Oh, your colleague told you that, hey, you've worked for so many years, you've not asked for a raise. You should go ask for a raise." When you shared that story with me, it motivated me. I was like, "Oh wow, so I can ask for a raise, okay?" So when time came for my contract to be renewed, I did ask for a raise and I got it. So these are informations that you don't know about because coming from where we're coming from, the culture is different. It's You can't just go to your manager and say, "Oh, I've been here, I need you to raise my salary,"
No.
because there are 100 of you, they can replace you in a second. um, the best way for you to climb where we're coming from is either you get a promotion or you get another job that pays more.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of going to a manager and saying, "Hey, I've worked so hard for you guys. I've done this for the past how many years. I need you to increase my salary," is just not a thing. So a lot of people would hustle and hustle in the same position for years and years and years and never get a raise not because they are not worth the race, but because they don't have information. So this is something you get from communities, and this is something I've gotten even from the Sierra Leone community: information. And information is power, especially in Canada. The more information you have, the faster you will accelerate your progress, the faster you will get to the goal that you want to achieve. Because without that information, trust me, you can be in the same position for 10 years and nothing will change just because you don't know, but not because you are not worth it. So yeah, that's some of the things I've really benefited from being part of that Sierra Leone community.
Yeah, I like what you said. Information is power.
Yeah,
Information is power, and the Sierra Leonean community can be that resource. Right?
mm,
It's an other resource that you could have in your back pocket.
yeah,
Right? So it's what you said. I think you said it all. You said it all. Like in my case, um, when I came to Ottawa from Toronto, I only knew my cousin. Right? I was in a new city. I knew only one person, and I needed to network. I felt lonely. I needed to feel connected.
yeah,
And the only way I mean, for everybody, anybody, once you come to this country, if you don't come with a family member, or you don't have like family around you, you're by yourself, and there is always that feeling of disconnect. You don't feel like you don't feel connected to home. You're in a strange country, and the community can be that safe haven for you. And that's what the community is for me, because I'm here by myself, without my immediate family members. And the community makes me feel like, I can go couple of months, and not talk to and just be and not be part of the community, but after a while it just gets to me.
yeah,
Right. So the community makes me feel connected to back home.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So now that, yes, you said you're a leader in the community, and you see the values of joining the community.
Mhm.
What's your experience serving as a leader in the community? Because in my experience, like, in a multicultural setting, like in the workplace or in other organizations that we contribute to, or in the church, I feel like there is a difference,
Yeah,
in the way how leadership is be done in those settings compared to the way how things are done in our setting,
yeah.
in our community. And I was just wanted to know what your experience, or how you see it. What's your take on it?
Um, not meaning to sound derogatory or to sound negative, but the saying that comes to my mind is a prophet is never expected in his hometown. So when working in a multicultural setting, because I feel there is no expectation, there is not much of an expectation from you. Um, people take you more at your word, and people trust your ability more because familiarity does not exist there.
Hmm.
But when you are serving your own people, and because there is familiarity, because they're closer to you, um, sometimes the effort you put in seems to be lost on the crowd, um, because they're so close to you, they don't see the effort. But people who are far from you, they can take a step back and see how much work is going in to what you are doing.
Hmm.
Um, that is one thing. Uh, if I'm talking about the challenges I faced as a leader, that would be my number one challenge. The fact that sometimes you can put in so much effort, but the group as a whole may not be able to see it, and it's not anybody's fault. It's just that sometimes because a lot of the decisions we make and a lot of the work we do happens behind closed doors. Um, it's not very visible to the wider public. So that would be one of my challenge that I faced as a leader. But in terms of the good things, I have really enjoyed building bridges. And one of such experiences I will give is just this past weekend when we took a trip to Montreal. I will tell you, I felt very happy. I felt very proud to have, served in the community. When I saw my brothers and sisters in Montreal, when we could all come together and laugh and joke and share food and drinks together, that made me feel good. Being part of the Sierra Leone community and leading in the Sierra Leone community. Another thing that it has done for me is it has taught me how to manage situations. I would say when I first joined this community, I was a hothead. Um, the minute something goes wrong, I want to go shouting and shooting
You're
guns.
still a little bit of a hothead.
Yes, well, I mean, I won't deny that, but compared to when we started,
Yeah,
these
yeah.
days I am more calculating in how I respond and in how I do things. I may put the phone down and call you and start going, "Oh, this happened. I'm angry. I'm tired." But when I'm dealing with people, I've learned to calm down, respond level-headedly, and then if there is somebody you need to talk to about a situation, call that person and have a conversation.
Yeah,
That is something I have learned, and also I've learned how to, I would say, how to budget and even how to just inspire people to give. I mean, and not just financially, but how to inspire people to participate in terms of doing events, attending events, and also how to come up with um, programs or events that people want to attend, and that people will attend and be happy about. um, these are the things that I've really learned while working in this community. And again, it has also helped me in other aspects of my life, even at work. If someone does something that offends me, I am not hot headed to go responding. I take my time, calm down, think about the situation, and respond in a calculated way. The more you work with people, you start learning how to restrain yourself, how to communicate, and how to respond to different situations. When you don't go through community service or working with various people or working with a large group of people, I feel these skill sets would be lost on you, because there
true.
is no way for you to practice it.
Yeah,
How often do you really get maybe 100 people or more being unhappy about a situation? Or
hmm,
how often do you get trying to bring together a large group of people to accomplish a particular goal? Um,
yeah,
how
and
often do you do crisis control? Like you
yeah,
arrive at an event and the storm has taken the electricity and there are
in pitch
people
darkness.
and there are people on the way to the event to come have fun, but there is no electricity and there is no light in the hall. How do you handle such situations? How do you keep your cool, remain calm, sort the problem out, and try to do something that will help people? There is a lot of benefit that comes with serving in a community. There is
Community.
a ton. I can't even begin to name all. So
And sorry to cut in,
go ahead.
and one thing is it gives you an opportunity. I mean, like if you're back home, you
Mhm.
don't care, right?
Yeah,
Whether you're serving the community or not. But when you were in the diaspora, I would say especially Canada,
yeah,
it gives you the opportunity to practice leadership.
yeah,
It's because we come here, we come here at a later age,
mhm,
we start off from the bottom, right? You
Mm.
don't have opportunities to practice leadership there.
Yeah.
You don't.
Mhm.
Or it would take you a couple of years to get a job and then start getting promotion and then start being in a leadership position.
Yeah.
By that time, it will take you such a long time for you to get to that point where you go like, I can manage people. But the opportunity, the community gives you that that space. It don't take you years to, it doesn't take you years to be a president or whatever.
Mhm.
You get in, as soon as you get in, you join the community, you're part of the community. Opportunities are open to you.
Yeah.
Everybody, you have that opportunity to learn. It's like a sandbox to
Yeah.
practice, to
Mhm.
grow,
Yeah.
you know, and develop skill sets. You're
Yeah.
not judged in any ways. Nobody's gonna
That's true.
demote you. Nobody, like
Mm.
that. We're all there to help each other.
Yeah.
So it gives that opportunity to practice all of these things,
Yeah.
right?
Definitely.
Because I mean, it will take you years to be in a different setting
Yeah.
to manage a community or manage 100 people, as you were saying, or
Yeah.
200 people. But once you get into the community and you get into a position of leadership, it's open to you.
And interestingly enough, just to point out, there will come a time in even your career where you are applying for a management position. And when they ask these questions, have you ever dealt with a large group of people? These are the areas where you're going to be able to talk on that because
Correct.
you are given the opportunity to do it. Oh, what have you been in a situation where like someone disagreed with you and how did you overcome that disagreement? You can talk on it because again, you've
It's
been given the
a skill
opportunity
sets.
to practice that.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things you learn by serving in a community, and that will help you, that will give you stories that you can tell in interviews that you will never have just, living your day to day life, going to work and coming home, which is why volunteering is absolutely important for anybody coming to Canada or being anywhere, because you never know when these skills that you're developing or these events that you're doing or the planning that you're doing, you never know when all these skills will be called to question in an interview. So yeah, definitely what you said is right.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a great opportunity for everybody to be involved in the community. Last question with regards to the community is our upcoming celebration.
Yeah.
So, what's your expectation for our celebration?
To be honest, I will say Monty laid an amazing foundation, for where we are today. Without the effort and work him and his team put in the past, it would have been impossible for us to even be where we are, because it is based on what he did that we were able to take and build. But having said that, I feel I'm very optimistic about this upcoming event. I feel it's going to be the biggest we've ever done, and I feel not only in terms of the size of the event, but also in terms of outreach. We have reached out to a bunch of different organizations, and this is, I don't want to say the first time, because I've not been part of the previous as organization to know, or sorry, the part of the previous executives to know what happened or what did not happen. But this is one of the first times that I can see, or that I've witnessed, where we are even having partners that are partnering with us to get this event, to be a success. So I am very, very optimistic about it. I'm very happy about it. I'm even more excited that our community in Montreal is coming in full force to support us. Um, it means a lot, and I believe as a team, including you spearheading the team, Um, we've done a lot. We've come a long way, and I believe the efforts that we've put in will be seen on that day. And I believe with all the planning we've done, it cannot help but be a success.
Yeah, yeah. I'm also excited. I'm looking forward to seeing the whole community.
Yeah,
I always get excited when we as Sierra Leoneans come together and when we
yeah,
celebrate together because we don't get that opportunity.
no,
It's hard because you know how it is here. Everybody's working, everybody has different schedule. It's hard to come together.
yes,
And this is our opportunity to come together for one night. To
yeah,
just be Sierra Leonean, to celebrate, to enjoy our uniqueness, to to celebrate our culture, to celebrate
yeah,
our music, to celebrate our food, you know. Um, and that's the thing that I kind of understood when you're in Canada. The first question they ask you is where are you from?
yeah,
Where are you from? Right? And you gotta be proud of where you're coming from. And
absolutely,
this is what we do. We're trying to at least create something here in our own small corner that we can be proud of as Sterling. So I'm hoping to see everybody there so that
yes,
we can all celebrate and we can all have some fun.
yeah, and
So
eat all those delicious food from back home.
and the cassava leaves. Yeah, it's some cassava leaves, man.
Yeah, pepper chicken.
I know some pepper soup. Yeah. So
Okay.
AKT, anyways,
Mm,
I just want to fast forward you to
mm,
where you are at now. You
okay.
are a BA in Algonquin College, and I just wanted to know what it is like being a BA, you know, in Algonquin, and if there are any skill sets that you need to be successful in the type of job that you're doing.
Yes. So, I mean, I've spoken about my background a bit, so you will realize that what I'm doing has nothing to do with my education. I did not go to school to be a BA. I was just fortunate again through community to meet the gentleman who was able to do a boot camp where I learned where I took a course to become a business analyst, and I was able to, speak to experiences that I've had in the past to be able to, get to my current position. Working for Algonquin for me, it fills me with pride, and I will say because I attended Algonquin as a student, never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that I would ever work for Algonquin in any capacity, talk less of being a senior BA in Algonquin. It's every day when I think about that, it is only by the mercies of God and it's only by the work of God. It cannot be by my own human capabilities. Having said that, being like working as a BA in Algonquin, you have to be very organized, very, very organized. Because at the end of the day, there are so many different departments that you have to work with, that you have to get information from in order to build a system that would be beneficial to them. You have to manage various expectations as to what that system is going to as to what that system is going to give them in the future. You know,
Mhm,
you have to manage your colleagues, what their expectations are of you, and be able to set the tone as to what is what I can say is what is feasible for you, what is reasonable. That's the better word. What is reasonable for you? Because sometimes some people can expect you to move mountains given limited resources, and sometimes you just have to push back a bit and say, hey, what you're asking for is just not possible.
mhm,
With what we have, with what the resources we have, and the time we have, um, you're going to need to reset your expectations. Also, you have to be open to helping people. There are a lot of BAs or BSAs, which are business systems analysts, who it's not that they don't know their job or they don't know the job, but as a business analyst, you have to learn a, the way a company runs their business, beginning to end. And just imagine people who work in companies have had 20 years, 10 years to learn this. You have months to know this. You have to know the ins and outs of the business, ins and out of every department. So you have to be aware of the various systems that are in use, and not only be aware of these various systems, but you also need to know how different departments use, or how different departments are going to use the system you're building, what information they need from that system, what information they need to put into the system, and how the system is going to process everything that is coming in. So you really need to be able to understand various stakeholders. You need to be able to understand how they relate to each other. You need to be able to understand how different systems talk to each other, and be able to draw maps that can show somebody how the system that they are trying to implement is going to function, and how these different systems are going to work with each other. So that is part of what a business analyst does, because our job description is quite broad. We're also involved in documenting maps. We are also involved in creating documents to document different processes. We're also involved in helping companies or businesses to change or upgrade their systems, and make sure that what the old system was doing, the new system can also complete those functions and do it even better. We are involved in making well, I will say we're involved in even upgrading. Sometimes you will hear that systems used to be paper based, and they're trying to go digital. So learning to manage transformations, things like that are the kind of work that we do as business analysts.
No, okay, that's good. I try to follow as much as I can, but you know, yeah. But like in summary, if you say like what would be like the key skill sets that somebody would need?
So you need great interpersonal skills, great interviewing skills, great note taking skills, and I would say great logic skills, because you sometimes have to write a lot of logic in the work that you do.
Okay.
Those will be the major ones. The major ones are interpersonal skills and interview skills and documentation skills,
Yeah.
because that 90% of the work is that talking to people, writing what they tell you, handing it over to programmers.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So final question.
Mhm.
What's the motivation? It's all about the motivation. I always like to ask this question at the end because when somebody tells me their journey,
Mhm.
from where they started off to how they went through their struggles, how they overcame, and where they are right now. I always wanted to know like what was the motivation that kept pushing you on. What was the motivation that kept you moving over these mountains that you face. So that's the question now I have to ask.
I think I have had various motivations, depending on the time of my life. When I first came to this country, the motivation to succeed, especially in school and all of that, was because I saw my older brother doing well in school, finishing his masters, and I just wanted to be like him. I wanted to achieve what he had achieved. And when I finished school looking for a job, again, um, one, I wanted to, you know, again, be like my brother, try to meet the bar he had set. But also, I did not want to disappoint my parents because they had spent so much money to get me here, to pay school fees, and to groom me into what I am. So I had no choice but to succeed. So whatever it takes, I had to do it because I did know I never ever wanted to disappoint them. But these days, my major motivation is I want to be able to provide for my family. I mean, once you get married and you have a family to take care of, you you will strive, you will hustle hard just to make sure that they have everything they need and you are able to provide that source of security for them. So that is the motivation now.
It's a good motivation because your motivation is my motivation right now.
Yeah, there you go. There
Only
you
in the
go.
same motivation book.
So you can agree the motivations they change. They change over
Yeah,
time.
yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. It does change because I can remember going to coming to Canada. I was like the amount of money that my family helped me with, with tuition and plane tickets. A few the little allowance that I got coming here. I was like, there is no way. There is
Yeah.
no way. I would do anything to survive and to make it, right? So, and of course, having family that also changes. Now it's more your family that's priority. So I get it. I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
yeah. Thanks, AKT. I think we've covered a great deal, but
Yeah.
as always, on this podcast, you have to go through a rapid fire questions. You have
Yeah.
1 second to answer the question. If you say something that I don't agree with to some extent or I don't understand, I'll ask you why for some explanation.
Right.
If it's good, if your answer is good, it's all good. We move to the next question.
Definitely.
Ready? You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Uh, you've lived in many countries.
Yes.
Which country have you had your best experience in?
Wow. Um, hmm. I will say the Gambia because that was my teenage years. My high school, formed a lot of friends. My Sierra Leone community was with me. Um, yeah, that would be the best.
Gambia was your best experience.
Yes.
Okay. I know you also visited many places in Canada. What's
Mhm.
your favorite or most beautiful place you've ever visited so
Ah,
far?
wonderful.
So far.
Do you mean in Canada or the world?
Not in Canada.
In Canada, my favorite, most beautiful is Banff. Banff in Alberta. I loved it. Just the nature, the scenery, the lakes, the mountains with the snow caps. It was like watching a Hallmark movie, a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, good answer. Good answer. Good answer. All right. Three things you miss about back home.
The food, the culture, and my family.
Yeah, good answer. Next question is I know you love Sierra Leonean music.
Yes.
Yeah, who's your king of salon music?
It's hard to pinpoint one, but I will give two. um,
There cannot be two king in a kingdom. There's only one king in a kingdom.
okay, fine. I will go with Drizzly Lake.
This is the league.
Yes.
But this league is new. Like he just came into the.
So
I
are
mean, like
you
he's
are
the
you
most
talking
popular right
about?
now. He's the most
Are
popular
you,
right now.
yeah.
Well, you feel like he's the king of salon music?
Um, okay, if we're
There's
talking
no
about
there's no
king,
le-
if
there's
we're
no
talking
legend.
about if
There's no
we're talking about
legend.
legend status, or you mean like the person who is, I would say, is the most prominent for Sierra Leone music is
I'll tell him
Emerson.
Emerson. I
Yes,
agree. I agree. Emerson. Yeah.
it will be
I
Emerson.
felt his impact. He changed the game of. He changed the game. You know.
Of course, of course. I would say he's the first one to really take our music out of the shores of the country, and even cause other people to appreciate Sierra Leone music. I mean, he's not the only one who has done it. I mean, in the past, you have people like Bonnie Mac, and so on. But I'm talking about should I say in the recent past?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But a lot of respect again to Drizzly because he also is taking the music to another level,
yeah,
right? So maybe in a couple of years when we look back, you'd be like, yeah, it's Drizzly, right? But for now, he's doing a magnificent job, no doubt. But I think
yeah,
personally, I won't crown him yet. You know.
yeah. No, 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 definitely not. When you said King, I thought you meant like who is my favorite right now. But legendary status goes to Emerson.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Which salon song is on your repeat?
Credit Alert by
Yeah.
Boy.
Boy, okay,
Yeah.
that's a good song. Yeah. Okay, next question. This is a it's a strange one, but I still ask it. Would you prefer to travel in the past, stay in the present, or travel to the future?
Hmm. um. Yeah. That's a tough one.
Yeah, and you're more
I
than the
would say.
second.
I would say. I would say travel to the future.
Travel to the future.
Yes,
Why? What's in the future?
because I want to see what the future holds for me. The I wouldn't just want to stay in the present, because in my mind I am working towards having a better future. So if all that work comes to fruition, I want to see what I'm enjoying in the future.
Hey, it's a good answer. All right, final question.
Yeah.
With the independence on the 27th, which just
Mhm.
passed,
Yeah.
and with the Sierra Leone Community Ottawa Association celebrating the independence on May 4th, what do you wish for Mama Salon?
I just pray and wish and hope that one day we will have a leader that has a vision that is more for Sierra Leone, and who is able to implement that vision, so that the average Sierra Leonean would be happy and proud to showcase their country to the world. Um, you go to so many countries around the world, even within Africa, and you see what they've accomplished. And sometimes you tend to ask yourself, why is my country struggling to get to that point? So that is my honest and earnest hope and prayer for my country, that we have a leader who has a vision that would make the average Sierra Leonean better off than their parents were.
Very good answer. Very good answer. And I wish the same. I think we as a country, we as a people, we need to we need to make some strides. We need to make some progress because we've been left behind, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So AKT, this
Yes,
was
sir.
amazing. This was amazing. I'm really happy that you were able to share your experiences, your aspirations, your goals, your motivation with me.
Thank you.
And I just want to say I appreciate you, and I'm proud of your achievements. I'm proud of all that you've accomplished, and I'm also proud of you as a friend and also as a leader in our community. I know
Thank you,
there's
sir.
a lot more that we'll be getting from you. So I'm looking forward to it, and I just want to say thank you for joining me this evening.
And thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to talk about myself and my journey within Canada. Really appreciate it. Thank you.